Otani to the Dodgers, Soto to the Yanks, and Florida State's out of the college football playoff? First pitch is next. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 60 of Bringing the Heat. My name's Cody Pye, and with me, as always, the four-seam fastball co-host, Will Sism. Buddy, 6-0 episodes, and it's a special one, man. We're pivoting a little bit. We were going to hit the first baseman, but no, we are diving in. A lot of stuff's happened in a week. Obviously, we had winter meetings, and then some big names on the move. But before we get into all that, how in the world are you doing?
Doing well, man. It's been a busy week, as you mentioned, in the baseball world. It's been a super crazy week, and just excited to dive into some of this stuff. We've got huge trades, huge free agency signings. Winter meetings were in our hometown, Nashville.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So, anyways, ready to go. And, man, episode 60, I think it's going to be a great one.
It's wild, man. Hey, I'm telling you, I was telling some friends at work, I said, you look out for Bringing the Heat, man. One of these days, we are going to be interviewing Rob Manfred at winter meetings in Nashville. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's just right there. It's right down the road, dude. There's no reason not to. We just got to go out and do it. Dude, speaking of going out and doing it, the Dodgers, Shohei Otani, unprecedented. Dude, I can't even wrap my head around the number. 10 years. $700 million. We didn't hear $700 million. I felt like even ever. He's the reigning American League MVP. This is the largest contract in American sports history. I believe even worldwide. I think there is that Mbappe, the soccer guy. He has an option for a year that would take him over $700 million. But if he doesn't, if he opts out, that's kind of splitting hairs here, guys. But it's just an unbelievable number to the Dodgers to pitch, to hit. Man, I got a lot of questions. We're going to take our time here, but just initial thoughts. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I mean, obviously we both talked about how we thought the Dodgers were the team to beat the whole time. And obviously that proved to be very true, but, I'm with you. When I saw the figure, I was expecting to be a monstrous figure, but I didn't expect $700 million. 10 years felt kind of where it was going to land. I thought that was right on the money, but I was thinking closer to 600 million, somewhere between 600 million, maybe 600 million max. But
yeah,
man, 700 million, that is unbelievable. I mean, it's just hard to wrap my brain around it, quite honestly. I think the thing that I was just thinking about, I was like, well, I wonder what the other teams that were kind of the finalists offered. Yes. I wonder if it was, anywhere kind of close to that, or if the Dodgers were like, all right, we're just going to throw out an astronomical number and we're just going to make sure that we get this guy. Yeah. And so that's kind of the way my mind works. I'm just kind of curious where all the offers landed, but, I don't know, man. I don't know really what to say, but the rich get richer.
Yep.
Just let's not even think about him pitching yet.
Yeah.
Think about that lineup, man. You've got arguably,
here we go.
I'll argue with you. You got arguably 3 of the top hitters in all of Major League Baseball. Yeah. Hitting 1, 2, 3 most likely in that Dodgers order. And I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm assuming Mookie's going to still hit leadoff, Freddie's going to still hit second, and I'm assuming that Otani's going to hit probably third with Will Smith right behind them. So it's crazy, man. I'm still trying to really process everything.
Yeah, it's a heck of a first inning to get through if you're a pitcher,
right?
Yeah. Hey, you look at this Dodgers team. Obviously, like you said, we all kind of thought it's going to be the Dodgers. Yeah. We can get into the fun stuff in the winter meetings and how Dave Roberts wasn't really supposed to say anything, and he kind of played it off for about 30 seconds, and then was like, "Hey, we talked to him." And the Twitter sphere, or the whatever you want to call it now, went nuts on this guy, and a lot of people. I didn't know this. I'm not really plugged into Dodgers Twitter. A lot of people blame Dave Roberts for everything, and obviously they've had a lot of success getting to the playoffs, but once they're there, they haven't, they've won title, and a lot of fan bases don't think it's 2021, so they're like, that's not a full year, la 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 la.
It's funny. I've never seen Dave Roberts go up to bat or get on the pitching mound during those
No,
seasons.
100%. Hey, you know what? I've seen him still second base in the ALCS for my Red Sox. I love that guy. And by the way, he's like the nicest guy ever. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that, man. It's just an unbelievable number. You look at it, the numbers on the contract haven't come. It's not going to be 70 AAV against a competitive balance tax. That's the only thing I know for sure. The two words people keep throwing out: unprecedented deferrals. So who knows what that means? That could mean 30 mil a year for 10 years, 20 mil a year for 10 years after that, and then or 20 for like the next 20. Who knows? I mean, who knows? It's interesting that they can manipulate it that way to me. But I think it's cool. They go out, they get their guy. So my question for you is like, is there a world where this deal doesn't work out for the Dodgers? I mean, I know on the baseball front, we can talk about it in a second. Financially, he's going to pay for himself. He's got the whole nation of Japan behind this guy. He is a world dude. People who don't even talk about baseball with me in my everyday life know who Shohei Ohtani is. And so this guy is he is the face of baseball. He goes out and gets this number, which blows is Mike Trout, his former teammate. He had a 420 for 10 years, I think. That's the second in baseball. I mean, he just blew it out of the water. It's crazy, man. It's a crazy number. But is there a world on the baseball side, like say this guy comes back and he can't pitch the same way? I mean, he is staring a second Tommy John. He's had the procedure, but now he's trying to recover from that. A lot of guys, not Shohei Ohtani, get like a prove it deal to show that they can still do it, and then they get the big payday. So, is there a world where this doesn't work out for the Dodgers?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think that the only thing, I'll put it this way, I think the only things that could really derail it is obviously injury, which, we talked about it there. I mean, he's, a second Tommy John or a second elbow procedure, we'll just leave it general, is scary, especially in this case, paying somebody $700 million. I mean, I think for me, I think that it's almost like insurance, though, that he hits too, and he just so happens to be arguably the best hitter in the game, right? So,
right.
So even hypothetically, even if he was never the same pitching, obviously it's not. I don't think it's a $700 million player if that's the case, but
Sure.
You're still getting a guy who's, top 2 or 3 hitter in the game.
Yeah.
And so I think really the only thing that can derail this is injury. We'll see what happens when he comes back pitching, which will be over a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only kind of scary part outside of injury is how does he age, right?
Yeah.
Some players, I think of Freddie Freeman. Some guys honestly feel like they get better with age. Freddie Freeman, Justin Turner. Certain guys, it's almost like the game continues to slow down. They get smarter. They don't have any significant injuries that derail anything. And so how does Shohei age?
Yeah.
I think obviously, unless something freakish happens, I think obviously the next 4 or 5 years, I think he's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But what does years 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 look like, right? So does another injury happen?
Yeah.
Does his skill start to decline? We don't know. And so I think that's really the only, I guess, scary part if you're the Dodgers. What does it look like kind of the back half of that contract? But
yeah.
You know what? I just think he's going to be awesome for the vast majority of it. I hope that the recovery goes well and he does get back to 100% as far as the pitching side of things go. For 2025, I guess that would be. But yeah, man, I'm just kind of happy that it worked out. I'm not a big Dodgers fan. I never have been, but I think it's honestly good for the game. And I think that, as many eyes that are going to be on the Dodgers, even more so now because of him, I think it's also good because it's almost like the Dodgers are kind of the evil empire now for a lot of people. And it's
Yeah.
going to be a very polarizing team. I think you're going to have a lot of eyes on that team. I think a lot of people are going to jump on the Dodgers bandwagon, but there's
Yeah.
also going to be some people that just want to see the Dodgers lose now even more so. And so I think that's going to be a really good thing for the game. It honestly feels like the kind of the Yankees back in the 90s, early 2000s to me.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Well, that's my second kind of part to this is the Dodgers team itself. I mean, you look at their roster, this isn't a team. Dude, the pitching's a problem. The pitching's a
Yep.
problem. I mean, we can talk offensively, 6 through 9, also some question marks, but with these three guys at the head, you feel like they're going to be okay. They're probably not going to put up 8, 9, 10 runs a game, but here's the issue: starting pitching wise, Kershaw is a free agent and he's hurt. He's going to be out all year.
Yep.
And then they also have injuries to guys like Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May. He should be back. I'm trying to do a little math here. He'll probably pitch in 24. It looks like he had his
You talk
surgery.
about Dustin May?
Dustin May, yeah, he had a
Yeah.
flexor tendon surgery in the middle of July, so he should be back in 24. Gonsolin, same thing. He had Tommy John, but it was earlier on. So, or excuse me, it was later.
Yeah, I don't think Gonsolin's going to pitch in 24.
I think he's out in 24 as well. So here's what the rotation looks like: Walker Buehler coming back from injury, Bobby Miller heading into his 25-year-old season, and this guy, I mean, he looks to be the dude. Okay, you feel pretty good about those two, even though there's question marks. And then Ryan Pepio, Ryan Yarborough, and Emmett Sheehan. So these guys can't be done. I don't think that they are, and I will be curious to see. There are some rumors that they're going pretty hard at Yamamoto.
Yep.
And obviously Shohei and Yamamoto, they played together on the Japanese team for the World Baseball Classic. They won a title there. So, man, there's no telling with, especially if, we're going to defer this money and help with the payroll year over year. I think it's pretty exciting. It shows that Shohei, he cares a lot about winning, because the deal is, I don't know how the deferrals work. But if there's some kind of interest thrown in, because 20 million in 10 years from now, it's not going to be the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I will be curious to see kind of what that looks like. Financially, he's going to be okay. So
yeah, I think so.
I think he's going to be okay. So pretty cool for the sport of baseball. Man, I feel like we could spend more time, but is there, what did we miss? Anything on Ohtani?
The only thing I just want to briefly touch on is I found it very interesting that the Blue Jays were one of the finalists, so to speak, for him. We kind of texted back and forth on this a little bit during the week, and I was just my thoughts were, what if the Blue Jays got this done? I mean, I feel like that would have. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. I think it would have been an awesome thing if you're a Blue Jays fan.
Yeah.
But there is no way you're re-signing Bo Bichette and or Vlad Jr. If you ended up landing Shohei, which, I'm sure that Blue Jays fans would probably be okay with that. I'm just assuming if they had to lose one of those guys in order to get Shohei. But I just found it very fascinating that the Blue Jays were, of all teams, one of the major players here.
Yeah.
And, I'm kind of happy that it didn't work out for the Blue Jays just because I'm a Rays fan, but I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I just thought that was kind of interesting. That's not really one of the top teams that I expected to be like one of the major players. So,
no. Well, for a moment in time, and we're going to talk about them in a second, but they, talks stalled with Soto and the Yankees, and it was going to be Soto to the Blue Jays. Here's the deal, man. I didn't want Soto in the AL East. I kind of felt like that was going to happen. Like I said, we're going to talk about it. I really didn't want Ohtani in the AL East. I was like, holy crap, it's going to be another 86 years before the Red Sox win a World Series. It's just, here's my, I guess this isn't really a Blue Jays discussion, so, we can leave it here. But my 2 cents is I don't think they're re-signing both anyway. I don't
either.
I mean, they're going to have to pick one. They're going to pick Vlad or Bo, and that's just on the base case. So we will see, unless my one caveat is, hey, if they can come together and say, hey, like, we want to play together, we want to kind of be a duo, and they both take a little bit less. Like they
Right.
both take 200 for. I don't know, dude. They're fixing because I think that's next off season. Don't quote me. I'm gonna see here. Roster resource probably has it, but I don't know where it is. But yeah, they came up together, so they're gonna hit at the same dang time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's
that's a
interesting.
tough decision. That's a tough decision. You think you probably have to go with the shortstop
Right.
who leads the league in hits every year, but I mean,
I agree.
Vlad can. I mean, his floor is like 25 homers, and
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, dude, that would I mean, and especially when there were like tweets coming out that he was a Blue Jay, and then all that stuff with
Yeah.
the dude from Shark Tank, Robert. I'm
Oh,
blanking on his last name.
Hershevek.
100%, and how
Uh-huh.
everybody's like, Otani's on a plane to Toronto, and it ended up being him. Dude, and now it's come out. I was just reading this afternoon that this was all a ploy from Otani's team to get him more money from the Dodgers. Dude, it's just like,
It's crazy.
Is he playing chess? He's playing chess. The whole world's playing checkers.
Right.
Listen, we do this podcast. We have a good time. We're not journalists. I do think this Otani sweepstakes really pointed to the fact that these journalists, man, they are thirsty to get that first. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Holy moly, donut shop. The number of people, that and the Yankee Soto thing, the number of people talking about how, a signing's imminent, this, that, and the other. Just, that's why my main man, Jeff Passan, okay, I love him. He just cares about being right, doesn't care about being first. It was a tough week, dude, especially on doing some quick math. I guess it would have been Friday when everybody was saying he's going to Toronto. I think, we were all like every 10 seconds refreshing Twitter trying to figure out where in the heck is this guy going. Yeah, that's just a little off the wall thoughts from Cody there. Thank you guys for being a part of it. But yeah, man, it's overall very exciting for baseball. Curious to see what the Dodgers do next. And I'd be honest with you, and this is a silly thing to say. I don't know that I love them in the division where they stand. You still got a team like the Diamondbacks who made a big signing and have a lot of young talent, and a big three in their rotation now. And I worry about that rotation. I really do.
Yeah, let's see how the rest of the offseason plays out. The rest of the offseason is going to be fascinating to see what else they do.
Let's let these artists finish the picture before we start selling it, judging it, this, that, and the other. Okay. We've got the big fish off the board, the biggest fish, the megalodon. Let's move on.
Here comes the blue whale.
The blue whale. We had an outfielder move from the National League to the AL East, and I'm excited to talk about it because our man Tyler O'Neill went from St. Louis to I'm just kidding. Went to the Red Sox. Just kidding. We're going to talk about that later and for a much shorter span of time. Let's talk about Juan Soto. Everything that Will loves about a baseball player is playing against, I would say, his top two least favorite team, or playing for his top two least favorite team, because Juan Soto's going to the Yankees in a blockbuster deal. I put in quotation marks, finally, because I feel like this has been rumored for years. They finally land Soto and Trent Grisham. Don't sleep on Grisham. They got Grisham for 2 years of control. Juan Soto, this is his walk year. So they got 1 year of Soto as it stands in exchange for 5 players, 4 pitchers. You got Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito. That's a 5-star name for sure. And then Kyle Higashioka, veteran catcher, been with the Yankees for a long time. And listen, this is pretty exciting if you're in Yankee land and a Yankee fan. They have a running mate for he and Judge. They finally have a left-handed bat in that outfield. They've been missing corner outfielders for years. It is his final ARB year. He's looking to make about $30 million. All signs point to Soto reaching free agency next year because he is a Scott Boras guy and he loves that sort of thing, wanting to test the market. But, it's always good to put your shoes in those cleats and put that laundry on and see how it feels. Will, how excited are you for the Yankees?
I tell you what, man, I will admit, obviously, I'm not a Yankees fan. I won't be a Yankees fan, but I am a big Juan Soto fan, and
it's tough.
I am actually really happy for Juan Soto. I think him and Aaron Judge will be a dynamic pairing, and I think that it's I think this is exactly, if you're a Yankees fan, I think this is exactly what you needed if you're a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
You've now got some hope. You've now got a running mate with Aaron Judge. Um, I think it's a perfect move, honestly. And I think the Yankees, especially if they get a guy like Yamamoto, we'll see how the chips fall there. But
Yeah.
I think the Yankees are back in business as far as the AL East goes. I really do. I just love the move. I don't know honestly what else to say. I think it's a match made in heaven. The
Mm-hmm.
ballpark dimensions, the left field, just the need at that position over the last couple of years. It just feels like Juan Soto is going to take care of a lot of what has been deficiencies in that Yankees lineup and in that Yankees clubhouse. Yeah, and I just, I love the move if I'm a Yankees fan.
Got to. I'd be worried a year from now. We'll talk about that in a second. Before we get there, though, you're looking at a guy had a down year from his standards. Had 35 home runs and over 100 RBIs. This dude's a total stud. He's going to be 25, which is just crazy. It's crazy. Here's the deal. He hit really poorly at Petco Park. 240 batting average and like an 840 OPS, which I mean, obviously, 840 is above average, but his numbers on the road were like 305 and a 900 OPS. So I'm excited to see this guy. He crushes in Yankee Stadium in his career. It's a smaller sample size, but it's exciting. I mean, dude, it's really, really tough for me because I just can't stand the Yankees. And for them to do this is it's hard to root against Juan Soto. It's really tough. I mean, I love the guy. I really do. He's just a kid having a great time, and he's just an incredible baseball player and seems to be a really sweet dude. I mean, nice guy. I told Will, first thing when this happened, I said, I hope he leaves. I hope he leaves next year. And
it's still possible.
And they lose all those prospects. I think there's a ton to be said about getting your experience in New York, and he's a Dominican kid, and there's a big presence in New York, so they're just gonna love him there. I mean, they've been waiting for this guy for a long time. Since they missed out on Harper a few years ago, I feel like the New York fan base, this is their chance to redeem on that moment, and so. Dude,
Christmas came earlier if you're a Yankees fan.
Gosh, it's not even funny. And then for Ohtani to kind of one up him a couple of days later, but boy, does none of Yankee Nation care. I mean, they are just so excited, and I think opening day is against the Astros for them, so that's going to be exciting to watch. If I'm him, just seeing kind of what just happened with Soto, I'm probably going to try and learn to pitch this year. So when he hits free agency, maybe get 5, 6. Dude, he'll probably get $500 million. Who knows? It's going to be crazy.
I think a lot of it'll depend on how this season goes, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
That's true. Here's a question for you in the scope of the AL East. And like I said, this is a really tough question to ask because off season's like half over. If that, we're not even at the halfway point.
No.
But as everything stands right now, where are you slotting the Yankees in their American League East?
I've got them right there with Baltimore.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
man.
I do.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, like, don't forget the Yankees have arguably the best pitcher in baseball, Garrett Cole. So that's number one.
Yeah.
I don't love what I saw out of Carlos Rodon last year, but he can't be that bad again, right? We don't think, know. Yeah. And the Yankees always figure out a way to piece together kind of a rotation and piece together the bullpen. Like that has not been the issue the last few years at all.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. I just think that Juan Soto going to that lineup just is going to make every other player in that lineup, including Aaron Judge, better.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen how this team has, as reliant as they have been on Aaron Judge the last 2 to 3 years, they've still, other than this past year, they've still made the playoffs.
Yeah. They
And
were 82
so,
and 80, and he missed a chunk of time. You know?
right? And so it's like it's like what we talk about all the time in the bullpen. When you lose that back end, like that ninth inning guy, and everybody else has to then step up.
Yeah.
Your eighth inning goes to the ninth inning, your seventh inning guy goes to the eighth, and so on and so forth. It's the same thing here when the Yankees line up.
Yep.
Aaron Judge is still going to be the guy, but Juan Soto is going to be 1A, 1B, right? And then
Yes.
everybody else is going to fall in line. And so again, I cannot love the move anymore if I'm a Yankees fan. I think,
Yeah.
and to answer your question, I think Baltimore and New York, in my opinion, they are clearly the two best teams or the two teams to beat as it stands right now, December the 10th.
Yeah.
As of this offseason.
Yeah. Man. I tell you what, it's hard for me to look past the Baltimore. I'd probably put Baltimore there. And then
Baltimore's lost pitching. They lost Kyle Gibson. I know he's not crazy, but
yeah,
Baltimore's got to get pitching.
we're going to talk about it, but they added a big arm. No spoilers, Will, but they added a big arm in there.
God. We'll talk about that later.
That's right. Oh, my gosh. Dude.
If Baltimore does not add a significant starting pitching arm to that rotation, and the Yankees do something else this offseason, the Yankees will be my favorite going into 2024. We'll see what happens.
Man. Wow. And then the Rays are going to win like 110 games with me and you out there in
with like their AAA team,
middle infield.
Yeah.
I can make a guess who's going to be dead last in the AL East. Better than I can tell you who's going to be first. I don't think it's going to be the Blue Jays. I think it's going to be
Blue Jays are the paper champions of the world.
Paper Tigers, baby. Here's the deal. Yeah. You want to move on to anything else on Soto? We'll move on to the other big Yankee deal.
The only other thing I'll put on Soto, and we'll talk about this in depth when we get to the outfield, but I think that from a fantasy perspective, I think Juan Soto is going to, once he starts getting his bearings and gets really comfortable after probably the first few weeks, I think he's going to be an absolute monster in fantasy.
Yeah. ADP went from 5 to 4 because of this move.
I don't know, man. I think that if he would have stayed in San Diego, he would have been a kind of a fringe first, early second guy.
Woo.
Think about some of those guys at the top of the draft order.
I'm with you, dude. And we haven't even gotten a shortstop, but I've been looking at some early ADPs. Guess where Bobby Witt's going?
Oh, probably like 4.
4, 100%. Yeah. No bull crap. We gave him so much crap for going 7 last year.
Oh, I know.
He's going 4.
But I just think, going back to Soto, I think he's going to – I think all of his numbers are going to continue to rise now that he's in the Yankees lineup.
They're going to crush, man. I hate to see it, but I love to see it at the same time. They get anything out of Stanton. Anything. That'd be cool.
Anything.
I got a bunch of studs in this lineup. I've got some MVPs playing baseball in New York. So it sucks for Red Sox fans, man. It's absolutely tough. Big sentiment for us Boston fans in 2017, after adding Stanton, we added JD Martinez, and that's just not the same at all. It's ticking me off. Keep having to read about it. Like, our team stinks. we need Yamamoto and Snell. We need Snell. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Let's just keep breaking my heart here, because we're gonna skip around the sheet a little bit. Will staying on the Yankee train, man. Before they landed Juan Soto, they landed, just about the same caliber outfielder, Will. Alex Verdugo got traded to the Yankees for a Greg Weissert, who he's a reliever. He's got some big league experience. And then some prospects. Robert Fitz, he's a 23-year-old out of Double-A. And then Nicholas Judice, he was drafted in the 8th round in 2023. Verdugo, this is his walk year as well. But he's been rumored to the Yankees for a while. The big issue's been it's the Yankees, Red Sox, la 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 la. We don't ever trade with them. I think this is like the 6th deal in the last 60 years, which was kind of interesting to kind of look into. Hate it for the Red Sox. I mean, you got 3 guys coming over that are not gonna, it'll be a shock if we see 2 of these 3 guys. Those prospects, it's hard to tell. Weissert will go in the bullpen, but it's not because he's great. It's because our bullpen is not. And then the Yankees get an average to above average bat with average strikeout numbers. He'll take a walk, and he's got some pop. And I love the fit, man. This dude had charisma for the Red Sox, and the big piece in the Mookie bet still. So I can finally admit in front of you and God that we lost that trade, Will.
Yes.
So I don't know, dude. Verdugo to the Yankees. He's got to shave his beard. What do you think?
I mean, I was just shocked that the Red Sox traded him to the Yankees. I was just floored when I saw that.
You got nothing for him. You got nothing for him. So trade him to somebody else. Trade him to the Oakland A's. Especially if the rumors are they don't like Alex Cora and Verdugo, butted heads a lot. Trade him to Oakland. See you in Vegas.
I wasn't at all shocked that they traded him just because it just looked like he was in the doghouse.
Yep.
For most of the last year.
Yep.
And it was one of those things, probably like addition by subtraction. If you're Alex Cora, he probably went to the front office and would be like, guys, we got to trade this guy. I don't care what we get for him. We just got to get him out. That's just kind of what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
But when I saw that he got traded to the Yankees, I was absolutely stunned. And I mean, here's the thing. I don't think Alex Verdugo is a superstar by any stretch of the imagination. But he is a solid big league player, right?
He's a ball player. Exactly.
Yeah. And so he's a useful player. And when I saw he got traded to the Yankees, I was stunned. I was stunned.
Yep.
So anyways, I just thought that was very interesting why they would do that with the Yankees. Maybe the Yankees are the only team that really, really wanted him. I have no clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was still stunning to me. So
Mets could use a corner outfielder. There's tons of teams that you could use corner outfielder. Listen, Doogie's going to come back to Boston with a chip the size of Mount Everest on his shoulder. He is going to be, dude. Oh, I can't believe it, man. And then, we're getting him off the team because of the Cora. Cora's under contract for one more year. I was reading an article before we hopped on here talking about how a lot of teams are interested in him, and a lot of people think he can break the Craig Counsell record extension. So,
yeah,
I mean, this is a guy that might
he's
be
a
out
great
the door.
Manager.
Are we closer to the Brewers in Beantown than we are to the Yankees?
Yes.
It's starting to hurt, man. I've seen a lot of success with these Red Sox in my fandom, and it's not been fun the last couple of years. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Everything you said. Interesting. Last thing we'll say, I guess, on this is you got a lot of people on their walk year, dude. Juan Soto on his walk year, Gleyber Torres on his walk year, Alex Verdugo on his walk year. I also believe Rizzo is staring at an option, so he can team can either pick that up or put that down. So we'll see. This could be kind of a San Diego Padres situation for the Yankees, where we look at this team. They got one solid crack at this because it's not likely they're all going to get back together.
I don't think that they're losing Juan Soto. I don't think they're going to let that happen.
Dude, I think
the Padres somehow let it happen. I don't think the Yankees are going to let that happen.
That's what everybody in San Diego said. I will be curious. I will be curious to see what happens. I hope you're wrong. I hope you're so wrong. I hope the Red Sox pick him up, but it's not going to happen. Enough Red Sox talk from me, Will. You just hit the Red Sox news button, and I have to wait 8 minutes to talk about the Boston Red Sox. We'll talk. I guess we'll get into that later, but it's going to be super curious. You're right. It's more likely than it's not that the Yankees will bring him back, but I think it's like 99 out of 100 that he is hitting free agent. He's going to test the market. So that would make me nervous, but where's he going to go? Is he going to the Mets? Dodgers aren't going to have any money to pay him.
I think it would be Yankees, Mets.
Yankees, Mets, Cubs.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting. And I think they're going to pitch pretty hard this year. That's what this year is.
I think Juan Soto's maybe he's an East Coast guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was incredible, obviously, at Washington, for those years. Maybe he's just an East Coast guy. Some people are East Coast or West Coast guy.
Yeah. I like watching studs play baseball. At least I can make the game when it's on the East Coast. The only downside to Shohei staying on the West Coast is like,
Yeah.
okay, another 10 years, I'm going to have to stay up late to watch him.
Right.
I see you on Friday night, Shohei. Moving on, move over Chris Davis because the Orioles have a new highest paid player. They have inked Craig Kimbrell, legend, to a 1-year, $13 million deal on Wednesday. And I believe it also has a $13 million club option. Is that true? It's got the same amount of money on the option. Very interesting.
Yes.
For 2025. Very cool. I think we might have differing opinions on this. I think I like this a little bit more than you do. Jose Bautista likely out of 2024 because of an elbow injury. So the Birds add a closer with 417 career saves. And I think he'll probably take over the ninth inning roles. But let's talk about it, Will. Let me hear your thoughts, buddy.
I'll be honest. This is my second favorite team in baseball, and I saw this news, and first of all, I was pretty surprised. And when I first saw it, I was like, ugh, I really don't like it. And the more that I've thought about it, I'm borderline hate it.
I thought you were going a different way.
No, I really don't like this move. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
And there's multiple reasons why. I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can. So number one, so the Orioles are not a big market team.
Mm-hmm.
They don't operate that way, at least. So they're not going to go out and just like the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers. They're not just going to buy a bunch of free agents, right? They believe in developing their players, being really smart with their prospects, developing those guys, bringing them up, just like what they're doing now.
Yeah.
When you go out and sign a somewhat high-paid free agent, normally what that does is you get that guy, and as a result, you're not going to get whatever other options might have been out there that you were maybe targeting.
Yeah.
And so when I look at the needs of the Baltimore Orioles, yes, I understand that Batista is going to be out for 2024, and that's a big blow. But here's the thing. It's not like they don't have an abundance of really talented arms in that bullpen. If you want to keep Yonyer Cano as the prime setup man, that's fine. Yeah. Give some other guys a shot to move into that closure role that are super talented and see if they can handle it. If they can't, make a move at after the first month or two of the season and get somebody.
Yeah.
I think Kimbrell's not necessarily on his last leg, but age is starting to get to him. His velocity's been down the last couple of years, and he's just a roller coaster, man. There's some nights to where he looks really good, and that's fine.
Yep.
But there's other nights to where it's almost like everybody knows what's coming. Yes. And I just don't like the move. Like the only saving grace is it's just a 1-year deal, so they're not locked into it long term at all. But
yeah,
I just think that the Orioles should have spent their money a little bit more wisely towards starting pitching instead of an aging closer that's on the decline. If I could put it simply, that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Dude, I knew their bullpen was really good. Just looking at some of these numbers, I mean, last year they didn't have a single pitcher with a 3.8 ERA or above in their bullpen. So I definitely, I see what you're saying. Kimbrell is on his way to becoming an all-time immaculate grid answer. This is his 8th team.
It's fascinating.
It is because, dude, I was looking at some stats, and I'm going to pull it up real quick while I'm chatting because, dude, listen to some stats when this kid came in the league. How about 63 games, 62.2 innings, 42 saves, a 1.01 ERA, and a 0.65 whip. This was in 2012 with the Braves. This dude was an absolute. The game was over when he stepped on the field.
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that.
The man we see before us is not that guy anymore.
No,
and I agree with you. Here's the deal. I always tell Claire, I've watched a lot of Craig Kimbrell games. I'm not going to tell you why because I've got myself on an 8-minute timer. But when he played for the
right Red Sox, I'll say it.
Will said it, so it doesn't count. You can tell first batter this guy's got it or not. You really can, and it's hilarious to watch. I'm with you a little bit, but I was excited that they made the move. I thought it made sense. And I hope they slot him into that because Cano, I like what you said about keeping him as a setup man because he was
Yeah,
absolutely electric. When he went to the closer role, for
he
whatever
wasn't the
reason,
same.
he was not the same. I think he had like 6 blown saves, but his ERA was still, I mean, dude, it was like 0 for like the first third of the
Yeah,
season. It was disgusting. Yeah, you know, we'll see what happens. I'm excited to watch another team kind of sweat it out in the AL East as far as the Kimbrel effect goes. But it is fascinating that he is before they signed him, their team payroll was $38 million. They got all these kids. They got all these kids
hmm
on the offensive side of the ball. So there's like
right,
no money there. It's like $700,000 per
right.
player. Uh, they
That'll
were
change
the
in a couple of years.
yeah, you better believe it, dude. Yeah, he it was the lowest payroll of all. You got a team
Yeah,
moving to Vegas. They're
I
trying to
know.
lose. And yeah, so it's pretty funny that this is the guy they choose. That is, I'll agree with you on that. But I for what they're trying to do, it makes sense. I need to see him go out and get a starter. You know what I
Here's,
mean?
I'm with you. They've got to get a starter or two. They have to. They have to. I'll
Yeah.
leave it at. This is my last point. I promise on this.
Here we go.
The only other thing that I hate about this deal is Kimbrel is not good in any other role other than closing games.
Yeah.
So if he is not closing, if he goes out there and blows a few games the first month of the season,
Yeah.
it's not like you can go out and make him your setup guy because he's going to stink. If history tells us anything, he's
Yeah.
going to stink as a setup guy too. And so I'm telling you, it could work out. Sort of hope it does, but
Yeah.
I don't have a good feeling about this one.
Yeah. For the relief pitcher market, it's very interesting, the $13 million AAV. I don't think it affects a guy like Hader, who's just in
No.
his own realm.
Yeah.
But all the other kind of middle guys, it's very curious to see.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty good money. That's way more than I thought he was going to get.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
very exciting there. Okay, moving down the list here. We're just trying to go, kind of popcorn style here. Atlanta, they've made some moves. We're going to talk about a few of them here. They trade for Jared Kelenic. They acquired Kelenic, left-handed pitcher Marco Gonzalez, who they later flipped to Pittsburgh for a player to be named later, and then Evan White, who they later flipped to the Angels. Where was I in my sheet here, Will? A lot of stuff's happened this week. For Cole Phillips and Jackson Kolar, from Seattle. Or they're going to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
This is a salary dump for the Seattle Mariners, and essentially they've given up on Kelenic, who is going into his 25-year-old season. This is a guy who really showed some signs last year that strikeout numbers are still high, but it came down. And Pop was there, everything. This was supposed to be the guy with Julio who was going to be the future in Seattle. And it just didn't pan out. He's going to the Braves. It seems like they're going to throw their pixie dust on him. And, he's going to be legendary. We'll see what happens. But any quick thoughts on this?
It was really fascinating to see Seattle give up on him.
Yes.
I don't know how this is going to turn out. Obviously, nobody knows how this is going to turn out. But I just thought it was very fascinating that Seattle moved off of Kelenic. Yeah. For all the reasons you just said. I mean, this guy a couple of years ago was the cannot miss guy. The guy.
Yeah.
And I just think it's very fascinating that Seattle has moved him for what seemingly seems like not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, he's landed in a of all places you could land, Atlanta is a really good spot.
Yep.
And I am really fascinated to see what he turns out to be in Atlanta. I have a good feeling that this might work out pretty well for the Braves.
Yeah. Dude, well, the first thing
Worst case scenario, you platoon him and he's a monster against righties.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It's dude, when you're so good and you have your top 8 offensive players locked up, you can just move in the shadows and get better on the margins.
Yes.
And that's what the Braves are going to do. And some teams go spend $700 million. Some teams, if they take on a little salary, then they get a really good former prospect. So we'll see what the Braves can do with this guy. if you're a Seattle fan, I guess you're scratching your head and you're like, okay, let's see what
Yeah.
Dominic Canzone can do, which is a
Right.
26-year-old guy who I've never heard of.
Yeah. That was
Made
one of the
his
pieces they got from the Diamondbacks, I think, in one of those deals.
actually so smart. That's what it says right here.
Yeah.
Man, I got to pick a great running mate. I'll be the Juan Soto to your Aaron Judge. Oh man. Well, go to YouTube and you guys can judge if me and Judge have the same physique. We don't, so it's all good. Okay, moving on. Will, it might start hitting this a little quicker. I have some like non-trade and free agent facts, but let's talk about a couple of these here. Let's see. White Sox, they land a most valuable player, MVP, Eric Fetty, a former Washington. These are all like punchlines. Eric Fetty, a former Washington Nationals prospect and the 2023 KBO MVP, inked a 2-year, $50 million deals to come spin it for the White Sox. Are you excited?
I mean, am I supposed to be?
Well,
I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I think the White Sox are just, they're in the doldrums, and this really doesn't do anything to change my mind for sure.
Yeah. That's fair. We'll see what happens. I don't know, dude. I remember this guy. I remember reading about this guy when he was a national, and I just remember all of a sudden you don't read about him anymore, and he's not on his way up. So we'll see what happens. I think it's a lot of money to take a chance on a guy, and I wonder if there's any kind of like quadruple A guys who are going to go over and try and crush it in the KBO and then come back. I will say this is not the first time this has happened. There was a guy named Josh Lindblom, and he signed a deal with the Brewers after winning the MVP. This was a couple years ago, and he was still not very good. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna be glued to some White Sox games when this guy starts, because not that I was ever that good at baseball, past ever. But Will's been in the batting cages with me, so he knows what I'm talking about. But it's a different level over here and in Major League Baseball. So we'll see what happens. Moving on, Will. The Reds, they had another infielder. This one shocked me quite a bit because they went out and they spent 3 years and $45 million on Jeimer Candelario, who had a really great year with the Nationals and then Cubs for the second half of it last year. But he goes to the Reds. I mean, this is a team that literally, this is what they got. They got Ellie De La Cruz, who's not going anywhere, Matt McClain, Noelvi Marte, Christian Encarnacion Strand, Jonathan India, and then a guy named Spencer Steer, who we all know and love. He played a lot of first base for him. I think he's going to get pushed to the outfield, so I didn't really add him on my infield list.
Mm-hmm.
But that's 5 guys, and I didn't even put Jeimer in there. So now that's 6. They got to make some moves for some pitching, right?
For sure. I think that you mentioned it. I think this frees up Spencer Steer to basically go full-time outfield. And it feels like the odd man out. I don't know if it's going to be this offseason or at some point during the season or next season, but the odd man out right now feels like Jonathan India. Because I think Matt McClain is going to be the cornerstone middle infielder there. Mm-hmm. I think they're very high on Noelvi Marte, which they should be. Mm-hmm. Obviously, De La Cruz is the franchise. And, I mean, Encarnacion Strand, he showed me enough last year. I think he's going to be a really good player, too. And I expect him to be, mainly first base, also a DH. I'm sure they'll kind of rotate that in and out. But, to me, it feels like the writing's on the wall that Jonathan India at some point is getting moved.
Well, they've tried to move him for years. I keep hearing he's going to Boston. I'm like, whoa, we are not a Jonathan India away. Has it been 8 minutes?
Right. India's a pretty good player, though.
He's not bad. I mean, obviously, he burst onto the scene his rookie year. I think he won the Rookie of the Year and then has been middling compared to that year, but still solid. I mean, he's a second baseman, and that's kind of exciting. But I was reading that they were gonna move him, and then they couldn't. So then they were gonna play him at first. And now they can't trade them. It's just weird. It's weird when you look at these young guys and the amount of service time they have. And so it's actually kind of difficult to make a move when you have a guy with 5 years of service time because of how valuable that is. It's kind of tricky to go out and say, okay, well, I'll take a I don't know, Dylan Cease, who I
Right.
think's got 2 years of service times. Like that's a big difference, you know. And so
Yeah.
to kind of land on a deal to be made is going to be tricky. I am super curious and excited that I'm not the one who has to figure that out, and I'm excited to see what happens
Yeah.
because if they do nothing, I mean, some people are starting in AAA,
Right.
or this is going to be like the real house infielders of Cincinnati. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's gonna like how are they going to do this? You know,
Right.
how are they all going to rotate in? It's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, they need starting pitching help, and there's enough guys out there like a boy. I hate to say it, Glass now. But
Yeah.
there's some names out there that keep circulating that
Yeah.
you know, Caesar Glass now, or there's other ones I can't think of them.
Yeah.
Keep trying to give myself more time, Will, and it ain't happening, baby. Okay. Anything else on that before we move on?
No, I think Jeremy Candelario landed in a good spot though. That's if you're not going to Colorado, Great American Ballpark is pretty good place to land.
I love that guy too, man. He's a switch hitter, and
He's a good player.
He's really good, man. I mean, he's right around 800 OPS either way, so it's not like he's better one way or the other.
Useful for fantasy as well in 2024.
Yeah, you'll get that third base and first base. Ugh, and it's exciting. And they're gonna put him behind the dish. He's gonna be the catcher. They're gonna have to do something with these guys. I don't know. Maybe they'll try and teach him to pitch. I don't know. Okay, Erod to the Diamondbacks. Whoa, the NL champs. They had the top lefty arm in free agency, Eduardo Rodriguez, to a 4-year, $800 million or $80 million contract. It's got baseball money's getting crazy. There's a 5th-year option that could push it to $100 million. That's where the 100 was coming from, Will. He joins the rotation with Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and then Brandon P. Fatt, who had, obviously his coming about party in the playoffs last year. Dude, this is exciting, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just a slight notch below a guy like Blake Snell, who's still out there on the market. But man, the Diamondbacks now boast a sneaky, really good starting rotation.
Dude, can I just say timeout for a second?
Yeah.
I said top left hand. I forgot about Blake Snell.
Yeah.
He's many notches below, and I want to raise my hand and apologize, teammates. Everybody.
I mean, I don't want to
out
disrespect it. You're right. I think he's a really good pitcher, but he's just not
great.
quite. He's different than Blake Snell. Blake Snell is uber talented, crazy strikeout numbers, but
he's got two less Cy Youngs.
He does, but I mean, Erod. Let's not kid ourselves. Erod's a really good pitcher.
For sure.
He's developed into a really good pitcher, I think. And I mean, here's the thing: if he's your third or fourth best starter, you've got a pretty darn good rotation, and that's what we've got in Arizona. I mean, we've got Zach Gallen as our number one. We've got Merrill Kelly or Erod. Take your pick, 2 and 3. Then you've got Fott, who showed us some stuff in the playoffs, and yeah, man, I really like what the Diamondbacks are doing. Now, all I want to see is them add an impact bat somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And we might have something sustainable here. So,
Dude, with Corbin Carroll, I'm not betting against this team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they've got, don't get me wrong, they've got really good bats in that lineup. Marte, Carroll, Walker, Moreno. So, if they can get one more bat, though, I like what I'm seeing in Arizona. So
I read before I got on here.
Love the move.
Read before we got on here. They're looking at JD Martinez,
I like
who
that.
recently just, kind of got the David Ross treatment in L.A. Like, oh, you guys signed him? Oh, I guess I'm not going to be here next year. And Justin Turner. So a little Dodger two-pack
like
there.
Either one of those.
Those would be good for sure. Okay, let's get to what we wanted to talk about. I'm going to try and keep it brief, but here we go. The Red Sox add Tyler O'Neill for 2 pitching prospects from the Cardinals. Days after moving Verdugo to the Yanks, the Red Sox make a trade for Tyler O'Neill. Couple of prospects, Nick Robertson, who's actually played a little big league ball, and Victor Santos. We'll see about him. Anyway, here's the deal on O'Neill. Looks like an absolute power lifter. Okay, he's got the biggest arms maybe in baseball. I guess we'd have to see him and Stanton, get their flex on, and Judge. I don't know. This could be an interesting conversation. But he is a two-time Gold Glover, so I love the defensive aspect. If he can stay healthy, we'll see. He's a couple years removed from a 34 home run, 900 OPS season, but that was the only one that he's had, and it's a little bit of an outlier. So I get nervous, and I am curious if he's going to be better than Dugo himself for Verdugo. What are your thoughts, dude?
It just feels kind of like a kind of a wash, really, when you talk about, Alex Verdugo leaving, O'Neill coming in. I think O'Neill's definitely got more power.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the injury history is a little bit there. I don't know. I mean, I don't hate it if I'm a Red Sox fan. I think it's definitely better than just not addressing the outfield at all after losing Verdugo, right? But does it really move the needle when we're talking about the Yankees getting Juan Soto, when we're talking about how good the Orioles are, the Jays, even though they haven't really done anything, they're still talented. The
Yeah.
Rays somehow will figure this thing out. So I
Yep.
don't know. It just, to me, in summary, it just doesn't really move the needle. Do I think he can help them? Yes.
Yeah.
But man, the Red Sox just need some difference makers, especially in the rotation. And I mean, if I'm a Red Sox fan, I don't need to see another bat, honestly.
That's true. Yeah.
Like that's just me. Like if I'm a Red Sox fan, I want to see some type of
Yeah.
improvement in the bullpen, but especially the starting rotation.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I can't be the only thing we do. Cannot be the only thing we do. Or it can, and we just can't expect to win for a while. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. There's still some big fish on the board out here, guys. I mean, obviously, Yamamoto.
Yamamoto and Snell feel like the next two dominoes to
Yeah,
fall.
those are the two big ones. And then obviously Cody Bellinger is probably the biggest bat left.
Yeah.
Maybe Cody and then Matt Chapman. Obviously, I think now it's just like, okay, all the teams that have missed out and had this money to spend on Ohtani, now they're going to go pass it out. So let's see what happens. I think it's going to be very interesting. I don't think this is going to be the last one of these episodes that we do, kind of similar to this. I'm just hoping we can sandwich a position breakdown in there, guys. I got one more. I got a couple more just kind of in my noggin here, Will, that, I mean, we can spend 30 seconds on. It might take me longer to get through than it's even worth talking about. But here we go. The newly acquired Evan White and Tyler Thomas are going to the Angels for David Fletcher and Max Stassi, who just got moved to the White Sox for a player to be named later. Dude, the Braves are just making all these moves. The biggest piece I would say in this move for the Braves is David Fletcher, who is just strictly a contact average guy. He really had his coming out party in 2021, where I think he was over 300, and I mean, dude just didn't get out. But since then, he slashed 259. Dude's slugging 296. That's when we're hitting a lot of singles. Okay, when your same number starts when they're both twos, that's not great. On base 327 in his last 251 games after that first year. Does this move the needle at all?
Not
Not for the
really.
Braves, right?
Not for the Braves. I mean, he's if all of their starters stay healthy. I mean, he's not anything more than a defensive replacement, probably in the late innings. But I think he's probably more of an insurance piece. He can be kind of a utility guy to where if somebody hits the IL, he can step in, bottom of the lineup, get you some hits, kind of keep the seat warm until somebody comes back from injury.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if they flipped him for somebody else too. So I think this is at best kind of just a depth piece for the Braves.
Yeah. Other things, this is literally off the dome. I tossed my papers off the desk. You got Hedges back to the Guardians, and then Andrew Chafin signed a 1-year deal. I thought he was a Brewer for some reason. I guess maybe he got traded last year. Back to the Tigers though for him. So
yep.
Yeah. Hey, dude, I'm out of fun stuff to talk about. So let's just go a little bit off schedule here. Off par. That's not a saying. It is when I'm playing golf. We're off par all the time, baby. Hey, Florida State. What are your thoughts, real quick? I know this is a baseball podcast, but we haven't talked about it.
I mean, here's the thing. If you hook me up to a lie detector test and you ask me the question, do I think Florida State as of right now is one of the best 4 teams in college football? The answer is no.
Okay.
However,
yeah,
I do have a little bit of an issue with leaving out an undefeated conference champion out of the 4-team playoff.
Yeah.
The issue is who do you leave out? I mean, the only logical one based on resume is Alabama, given the top 2 or 3, because Texas beat Alabama head to head. You can't move Texas out without Alabama going out. So, then the question becomes, who do you think's better, Alabama or Florida State? Without Jordan Travis, for me, the answer is pretty clearly Alabama. And trust me, full disclosure, I can't stand Alabama. But I think they're a lot better team right now with a healthy quarterback than Florida State is.
Dude, they should have just done. Here's what they should have done. They should have done Michigan. I can't believe what we're talking about. Michigan, Washington, Georgia, Florida State. Just leave them both out, Alabama and Texas. And just watch the world fall off its axis. Oh, man. Hey, I would say like 6 or 7. It's going to be the number of touchdown Georgia beats Florida State by in the Cotton Bowl. So would be fun to watch. We'll put some money down on Florida State.
Well, it just all depends on, is Florida State going to come out and are they going to be pouty? Or are they going to be like, all right, guys, we're going to show the world that the playoff committee made a mistake? And here's the thing. Emotion in college football is massive, especially in bowl games. And does Georgia show up? Because they're going to be possibly disappointed that they're not in the playoffs this year.
And prepping for the draft. You know?
Right. I'm with you. I think on paper Georgia should comfortably beat Florida State, but don't discount if Florida State truly is super fired up to show the world and Georgia's the opposite. It could end up being like a kind of a crazy outcome if that's the case.
I love it. Thank you guys for tuning into our baseball podcast. We hope, before we get out of here, buddy, anything to tell the people? 60 episodes, dude. That's a cool number, isn't it?
60 episodes. How awesome is that?
I think it's awesome,
hard to believe. It feels like we just got started. But it's pretty cool, and hopefully we're getting better and better. As you know, when we go back and listen to 59 episodes before this one, hopefully we've gotten a little bit better at this. But it's super awesome. Thank you to all of our loyal listeners out there, and I'm looking forward to our next positional breakdown already.
Gonna be fun, man. Yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna get back on course. 61 should be first baseman, and unless something totally crazy happens. There's a rumor that the Dodgers and Yankees are gonna make a trade to get the Dodgers under the 40-man. Maybe they're shipping Ohtani out. Maybe they got buyer's remorse.
Right.
And we'll be right back talking about this. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, guys, we love you. We really appreciate you. Reach out to us on Twitter or X at BTH_Cody and at Will Sism. Say hi. Check us out on the YouTube side of things. You can see our wonderful faces. And I would say at like the 30-minute mark, maybe 40. I flexed in front of the camera, which is super embarrassing. And we'll probably have to kind of sort that out after the show. Man, we really appreciate you guys. If you ever listened, that's pretty special. And we appreciate you guys. And hey, we're going to keep on pushing the first baseman next week, Will. But until next time, thanks for listening to episode 61 of Bringing the Heat.